Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 20 Halloween Dollar Tree DIYs from the Crafty Vault. I have a little bit of everything in today's video, all different themes and DIYs. I hope you enjoy. For the first one, you're going to need a Dollar Tree vase and a Dollar Tree candle holder. This one's tinted, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to tint it anyway. And what I want to do is make a haunted lighthouse. So just FYI, the vase that I used was 7 inches to kind of give you an idea of size. I also picked up a battery operated light from Dollar Tree to light up our lighthouse. So the first thing I want to do is cover the vase. I'm going to have it be upside down to be a lighthouse. And I picked up one of these placemats from Dollar Tree. It's black and it's got a pattern with holes in it. So I thought it would be fun because the light would kind of peek through the holes when I light up the lighthouse. And the great thing about this DIY, it's not solar. It's got an on and off switch. You can use it indoors or outdoors. Now it does have a border on this placemat. So the first thing that I do is just go in and trim that off just so it doesn't, really get in my way when I go to measure for my lighthouse. I want to do a black and white striped lighthouse. At first I was going to do the black placemat and then I was going to add white leather, but I really want the light to shine through kind of uniformly. So I'm actually just going to cover it with this placemat and I'm just going to paint the stripes on it. So I measured exactly how tall my vase was, about 7 inches there, and I just cut out like a sleeve for it. So just kind of need to see how much. I don't want too much overlap. And this turned out so creepy and cool. I love the idea of a haunted lighthouse. So much fun. So that looks pretty good. It can fit on there just like that. But I thought it would be easier to paint the stripes on now before I put it on the vase. So that's what I'm going to do. And that way I can just tape it down with some painter's tape. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not really measuring. I'm just kind of eyeballing what I think looks good. And I'm just going to have it be a black and white striped lighthouse because I think that will look really good for Halloween and go with all of my decor. Not really any orange in today's DIYs. I do use a lot of black, a lot of really creepy stuff. I even bring in some green, which I think is really fun for Halloween. So I'm just using some white acrylic paint and a stencil dauber from Dollar Tree. I love stenciling with these, but I also love painting things like this with them. I find that it really helps with bleeding and stuff like that. And so I'm just kind of sponging that on for my 4 white stripes. Now I am covering, the black with white. So it's definitely going to take more than 1 coat. I did 2 coats on here. So I went ahead and dried it with my dryer and went back in and did another coat of the white stripe. And the great thing about this being fabric too is that it's going to be really easy to cut. I'm going to go ahead and cut some windows in it so those will light up as well because the top of or the bottom of the vase is clear glass and the candle holder is glass. Even though I light up the top of it, it should light up the entire lighthouse. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove my painter's tape. I got a little bit of bleeding, but I kind of liked it because I don't want it to look perfect. I want it to look creepy for Halloween, right? So about halfway across, I'm going to cut a window. I found that the best way to do it was to kind of fold it so you can kind of get started here. And I don't really want them to be all the same, but I do want them to be all like in a row. Since it's a quirky project like Halloween, haunted, you could like have the windows not straight in a row. I think that would look good too. And I'm just kind of concentrating on the white lines is where I'm going to put my windows. And I'm just going to do a total of 3. I cut that one a little bit bigger. I didn't really mean to, but I kind of like the fact that they're all a little bit different. Gives a little bit of personality to the lighthouse. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. Now, time to try it on the vase. Again, I'm going to have the vase be upside down. I was trying to figure out if I wanted the white stripe on top or if I wanted the white stripe on bottom, and I decided I wanted it that way. So now it's just a matter of gluing it on. I'm just going to use some hot glue to attach it. And since the vase is straight up and down, there's no weird cone shape or anything like that. They're going to have to worry about keeping your line straight or keeping things taut. I just do a bead of hot glue here, lay my vase on top, and I can simply roll this thing on. I had so much fun making today's DIYs. I had to send some pictures to my son at college. He got a big kick out of them. He thought they were really cool. He's usually my idea guy. I really miss having him around. Now, to tint the windows, I'm going to mix some green paint with some Mod Podge. This is a leaf green. I'll have to go ahead and go grab my green paints because I use a lot of different colors of green on today's DIYs with this project, and I kind of want to let you know which ones they are, just so you know the exact colors. But basically, I just painted it inside the glass so that the light shining through will look green. And I just checked, it's Delta Leaf Green for that color. Now, this is a Dollar Tree battery-operated light. It's got that plastic on there, but all you got to do is pop 3 AA batteries in there, and you have a little light that has a switch that you can use for whatever. I love these. I'm going to sit it on top of the Dollar Tree candle holder. It will light up the top of my lighthouse, and I think it'll look really good too. So I'm just going to make sure that my placemat is not overlapping anywhere, and then we can start putting this together. So that part of the lighthouse looks really good, so we can start working on the top part. And now at first I thought, oh, it's already tinted green, but then I really went hard on that green color on the windows, so I'm definitely going to tint this again. Just a matter of, I got to clean up that sticker on the bottom of it because you don't want that interfering with the light that's going to go through your lighthouse, and you might be able to see it. And just making sure it is clean and dry because I did have to use some Goo Gone on that. And it looks like it's going to work. I tested it out. But again, not really the right shade of green. And I want it to look almost monstrous, like something ghoulish has happened inside the lighthouse and there's green slime on the windows almost. So I mixed some more of the leaf green acrylic paint with Mod Podge. So I'm just kind of making my own kind of tint. And I sponge it on with one of these stencil daubers. I kind of want the spongy look on it. I think that makes it look even cooler. And I make sure I get the lip of it as well. Now, these candle holders are pretty common at my Dollar Trees, and it was the perfect size for the top of this project. And I always prefer making a round lighthouse. You could make a square one. I have, but round ones are usually my favorite. I went ahead and did the bottom lip too, just so you would get full coverage on the candle holder or the top of our lighthouse. So I'm going to try that on. It lights up pretty cool. There's kind of a gap though, since the candle holder goes in at the top, that I thought I could just cover with a strip of that same placemat that we used to cover the lighthouse. I have enough left to do a strip, and it will kind of make the width the same from the plastic top that's white, and kind of make it blend into the light a little bit better so it doesn't kind of go in, because that doesn't really make sense for the design of this lighthouse. So I just cut out a strip. I just need to see about how much I need here. And I didn't cut it super straight, so I'm just going to kind of fold it, even it up a little bit, and then we can go ahead and attach that on the top. And I'm glad I did. It kind of tied the top into the rest of the lighthouse, made it a little bit more cohesive. But I like the black, white, and green. I think it looks really cool. The green kind of reminds me a little bit of Ghostbusters, that kind of vibe. And so I just use a little bit of hot glue. I'm starting and stopping where the little button is to turn the light on and off, which I will put on the back so you won't be able to see it, and it'll be easy to kind of reach back there, turn it on and off. I just made sure that I didn't interfere with that, so it's still going to be easy to switch on and off. And I am digging it so far. I think it looks really good, so I'm going to go ahead and attach it. I just do some hot glue, and actually the hot glue seemed to work really well with the glass to glass. Maybe because it just fit on there so well, there's not a lot of gravity or anything like that. Now it's time to make the base for a haunted lighthouse. I wanted an area that kind of an oval shape where I could put some creatures. And I want the haunted lighthouse to look like it's being attacked by a sea monster. So that's part of my plan. So this is just an oval sign from the Dollar Tree. It's one of the hanging ones, but it doesn't really matter. I just paint mine black to kind of go with my Halloween theme, making sure not to forget my edges. And I'm going to cover this with rocks for the bottom of our lighthouse. So it doesn't matter that there's a couple holes in there. I don't have to patch them or anything like that. I decided to sit mine over towards the left, and I actually just attached it with hot glue. I was thinking I was going to need a stronger glue for this, but it seemed to hold up pretty well. I use Gorilla Glue hot glue, and it seems to be permanent on a lot of things. It works pretty good. Now, I changed my mind on the stones. I decided to go creepy Halloween, so I decided to use the black stones from Dollar Tree instead of like the brownish and gray ones. And I'm just going to cover this entire base with this. I thought the black rocks would look good because that would be something that you would see around a lighthouse, and it would be easier than trying to create like a faux water down here. And the faux water, I thought the blue would kind of take away from my black, white, and green color scheme, and so the black rocks just fit in perfectly. So I'm just kind of scattering them all over, putting down enough hot glue for like 4 of them at a time to make it a little bit easier. And I want to basically cover up all of the space, but it was important to paint it black first just because the rocks are round, you're going to be able to see like little gaps and stuff like that in there. Just a few more around the side here, and then I decided that I wanted some of them to be a little bit taller, so I did do a few like a second layer just to look for a little bit of variety. That looks good. I also thought the Dollar Tree creepy cloth would look really good because it kind of reminds me of a fishnet. And so I got one of the gray ones here, and I wanted to like be over the top of it, which is going to kind of disguise that plastic top a little bit. And then kind of be like longer on one side, the side that the lighthouse is not on. So I just cut off my excess material, and I'm going to kind of swag it down like this. And that's what it looks like so far. Now it's time for a sea monster. I've done a sea monster attacking a haunted beach house on my channel before, so I thought I would try a tentacle again. I picked up this Model Magic at Dollar Tree. It's just the white. I couldn't find a color that I really wanted, and I know that you can paint this and it air dries hard, and so it's so easy to work with. It's like even easier than Play-Doh if you've never worked with this before. I just ball it up and then just kind of roll it in my hands like you would with Play-Doh, and basically I want it to be like the shape of a carrot because I'm going to be doing a tentacle for like a sea monster or a kraken that's going to be attacking the haunted lighthouse, so I thought that'd be fun. So you're going to want a skinny tip and like a wider base. I'm sticking that directly to the fabric to the lighthouse, and doing another rock down here to kind of disguise where it's coming out of the dark rocks. So this is what it looks like so far. I'm just trying to smooth it out a little bit. Now that I have it attached, I don't have to glue it on or anything. It should stay on there just fine. It'll actually harden with the fabric. Now, I wanted to have like little tube feet since it's like tentacles. To get that, I'm just using an ink pen that's not open, and I'm just making little circle shapes. And I'm making it look like it's twisting. So like I just keep twisting which area has the little tube feet. And then I want to paint it. You don't really have to wait for it to dry or anything. You can go ahead and paint it. I'm going to paint it this color. I chose a different color because I wanted this to be almost a neon green. This one is Delta Parsley. As you can tell, it's really close to the green that we stained the windows and the top of the lighthouse with, but it's a little bit brighter. And I'm going to use some different colors of green here too, with other little beachy items that are going to be like attacking our lighthouse. The only tricky part of this was not getting it on the lighthouse placemat. So I just took my time. I used a small brush. And it's okay if I don't get all the way over. As long as I get most of the tentacle covered, I think it's going to look really cool. Now, the one I've made before with the Haunted Beach House, I made my sea monster orange. And I thought about that, but I thought it would be a little bit too colorful to do that. And so I decided to switch it up and make a green sea monster this time. It was so fun. I thought about doing more than one tentacle, but with the width of the lighthouse, I think one tentacle is going to be fine for that creepy sea monster look that I was going for. So just making sure it has pretty good coverage, and I'm going to let that air dry. Now for the sea creatures, I'm using some of the Dollar Tree Grow creatures that you get in the toy aisle. They have a sea turtle and a crab in this package. So I thought I could use those decorating the rocks like they're climbing up on the rocks out of the ocean. And I wasn't sure what to do with the sea turtle because it was already black. I did feel that it blended a little bit, so I did end up painting that one too, but definitely I'm painting the crab. For this one, I'm using Delta Christmas Green is the shade. And the Delta brands are from Target. I'm not sure what the exact colors would be in Apple Barrel, but these were all the greens that I had. So these grow creatures paint just fine. I've never had any problems with them actually like growing or anything like that from the water that's in the paint. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the top and the bottom so you don't see any of that red coming through. And I'm going to have him kind of like crawling up that netting. I thought that'd be fun. I can kind of hook his claws into that. And the sea turtle, I kind of went back and forth, leaving it black or painting it. I do end up painting it. But let me go ahead and put my lighthouse back together. Here's my light on top. Again, this is what it looks like with our sea monster attacking. It's super cute. And then I don't want to hide that, so I kind of leave that area exposed and then draping the netting all over. The sea turtle can be on the rocks, and then the little crab can be like climbing up the netting from the ocean. I think that would look really cool. So I just hot glued down my sea turtle, and then I decided to add some color to it. This is that leaf green that we used for the windows, and I'm just going to paint it a couple of coats with that just to bring out a color of green. And then I decided to distress the crab with that too. Not paint it, but distress it so it's like more than one color of green, just so it looks a little bit better. And I'm glad that I did that. It gave it a lot more character. So there's our little sea turtle and our crab to go along with our sea monster. Just sitting that in there, and this project is complete. We have a haunted lighthouse. Everything came from the Dollar Tree, I'm thinking. Yes. Everything came from the Dollar Tree. And that Model Magic, if you can't find it at the Dollar Tree, I know that Dollar General has it for only $1. So it's even cheaper there. But how creepy and cute is this for Halloween? This is what it looks like lit up. As you can see, it like looks almost like green splatter where I dyed the glass for the top of the lighthouse and for the windows. And it really gives you like a creepy, cool vibe. I love it. And I love that there's no candle or anything. I can just turn it on off. There's batteries that are easy to get to and to change. But what do you guys think about this one? Hey guys, if you're enjoying today's video, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'd really appreciate it if you would hype this video. Now, the next DIY, I picked up Dollar Tree jars. 2 of the regular mason jars, 1 of the square one of the long board signs from the Dollar Tree as well. And we're going to make a super creepy Halloween terrarium with this. Now, this is just going to be kind of my tray, so I don't need the hanger on the sign, but it's a perfect rectangular length. I think it's going to work perfect. It doesn't really need a lip or anything on it. And then I also picked up a little mossy skull from the Target dollar spot for $3. But they do have a mossy skull like that at Dollar Tree as well. It's just not quite as cool. It doesn't have like the open mouth and stuff like that. And it's a little bit bigger. So I want to paint a lot of things black. So I'm going to go ahead and use spray paint again. Just some ultra matte black because I have so many things I need to paint black for this DIY, starting with the tray. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint it black. So you're not going to be able to see a lot of the bottom, but you might be able to see some of the frame and the edges. So I just wanted to go ahead and have a black sign to start with. I'm going to use one of these little Dollar Tree wood cubes to raise up that little mossy skull to make it a little taller. And then I also need to do all of the lids of the jars in black just to make them all the same color. As you can see, some are brass, some are silver. Black is kind of the perfect color for Halloween. So I thought it would be easier just to paint them all black. And then I picked these up from the toy department at Dollar Tree. They say reptiles, but you know what? There's lots of bugs in there. At first, I thought I might need to paint them, but then I started looking carefully at the package, and half of them are black and half of them are red, so I don't really need to paint them at all. I'll just use the black ones. They had lots of creepy crawlies. They weren't reptiles, they were more bugs. I don't know why they were labeled like that, but it was a quick find from the Dollar Tree toy aisle. For the first jar, I'm going to start with one of the mason jars with my new black lid, and we're going to use some of the Dollar Tree skulls. So you get a whole bag of these for $1.25, and I'm just going to go ahead and see about how many will fit in there. And then again, I don't really like the way they're painted, so I want to make mine look a little bit older. So I'm going to use two different colors of paint on these. I do an antique white and an antique parchment. They're both apple barrel colors. I get those on Amazon, and you can also find them at Walmart. But with Amazon, it's so convenient. It's the same price as Walmart, and you get free shipping, so why not, right? I have a lot of those linked in my Amazon shop in the description of today's video. I go ahead and paint all 5 of them, kind of just distressing with one color, and then once dry, I go over with the other color, so it gives you like 2 different colors of bone colors, make them look old and creepy. Again, I really want to age them and just make them look better than the Dollar Tree did, right? Now, they don't really have a lot of details like the larger ones. They do have like the skull features of like the eyes and the nose holes, a little bit of the teeth, so you can distress them a little bit if you need to. Now for the foam, I am actually cutting a little piece of foam, and this is to go on the jar lid. The jars are going to be upside down on this creepy terrarium, but I kind of want it not really to have edges. So as you can see, I'm just kind of carving it down so it will fit in there and be skinnier at the top, but I need to lift everything up on the terrarium so you can see them. So I just hot glue that to the jar lid. And then I'm using some reindeer moss to cover the foam. I just use hot glue to attach it. And I want to try to kind of mask that whole area. It's going to give you the mossy terrarium feel, but then the rest of the jar is going to be filled with those Dollar Tree skulls. And it's going to look really creepy and cool. Now, my son is away at college, but he FaceTimed me while I was making this because he was very interested in this DIY, which makes me think he's going to steal it for his dorm. But he had lots of great advice and gave me some fun tips here along the way. So I really enjoyed the input. And I gave him a little behind the scenes Crafty Beach Live. I told him it was an exclusive. Now for the like eye sockets, the nose and everything, I'm using brown again. This time I'm using one of the Dollar Tree bronze Sharpie markers, just so it's not quite as dark as the black, but you could always use black as well. And then I distress it slightly with a little bit of the ivory colors to make them look old and creepy, kind of like this. You don't have to get too detailed. They already look better just by painting them alone. I also use a little bit of paint on the moss just to give it a little bit of variation in color, and go ahead and put some in there. I ended up only using 4 instead of 5 because I found that fit better, especially with the foam in there. I have to kind of take that into account. You can kind of shake them, arrange them, but I just want it to look like a jar full of skulls for the first one. Now, this is the larger square jar, and I thought it'd be really fun to put a little skeleton in there. This is a little Dollar Tree skeleton that looks really creepy. I love those from the Dollar Tree. So, again, I'm going to have this jar be upside down, so just have to remove the tag here from the bottom. And I wanted them to be different shapes and sizes. I like the fact that this one's a square. It kind of makes it look a little different. And again, I need to raise it up, so just carving down some of that Dollar Tree foam into a piece that's just going to boost him up just to make him a little bit more visible there on my terrarium, but I also want to make sure that he fits. So I glue that foam to this jar lid as well. And again, I'm using the reindeer moss for inside. We're going to be using a lot of different kinds of mosses for this project, and it just really adds to the creepy terrarium feel of the whole thing. And I like the fact that I'm making them all kind of go together in one larger project. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and just attach the skeleton with a dot of hot glue so he'll kind of stay put there on the moss, and screw my jar on. And we have a creepy little skeleton trapped in a jar. For the next one, I wanted to switch it up a little bit. This is also a mason jar. We painted the lid black. Got to clean up that tag on the bottom. And for this one, I wanted to do like a bug theme. So I went outside and found some sticks in the yard. I found 2 that would fit nicely in there. And so that's some free decor from outside, right? And again, I'm just going to need a little bit of foam here at the bottom to build this up. Also, I can use it to attach the little sticks. I hot glue it to the jar lid, and then again, I'm going to cover it up with reindeer moss. Again, if you're having trouble finding the reindeer moss or the Spanish moss at Dollar Tree, Walmart does have it. I was desperate, but I did have to go there because I was completely out. I thought about ordering it online, but I don't think I want to order 36 of them in case they're not very nice. You never know. And I just put both of my sticks kind of going different directions, filling in with a little bit more moss in between. And now we could add the little Dollar Tree bugs. I'm going to have like a little spider climbing this branch, maybe like a beetle over here in the moss, the bottom. And we can do, what is this? A grasshopper maybe up here on this branch. I love the fact they're black. It makes them look so creepy for Halloween. And just making sure everything's going to fit here. And I don't really mind if you can kind of see the numbers from the jar. It kind of adds to the old like apothecary feel of it. Then it's time to try to arrange all these. I wanted to try to see where I kind of wanted everything to line up on this. I kind of went back and forth arranging these. I've got a lot of skulls going on it, so I didn't want too many skulls next to each other directly. I'm going to glue my black wood block that we painted right here because that's going to have the little mossy skull from Target Dollar spot on there. And again, you could use the one from Dollar Tree and just add some more moss to it maybe. Because it's kind of a dark green. It's cool. It's more of like a flocked one they have at the Dollar Tree, but that would work as well. And again, I'm just using reindeer moss to hide that little black block and make it look creepy. And then I'm going to glue the little mossy skull right here on top. I love him. I think he's so cute. This little skeleton in the square jar is going to go over to the side, and then we're going to do the 2 mason jars next to each other. So the jar of bugs and the jar of skulls. Now it's time to decorate the tray. I wanted it to be lots of moss, lots of different colors and kinds of moss. So let me show you how I put that all together. I'm using the reindeer moss first and attaching it with a little bit of hot glue so it stays on the tray. I love the fact that the frame is now black, so I don't really have to hide that at all. But the fact that it's all glued together, it's one long project, looks really cool. Decorating the outside of the terrariums as well. So again, I went all along anywhere that you could see any of the sign, covered that up with reindeer moss. Then I'm going in there with some Spanish moss and just kind of adding that to different areas to break up the monotony and the colors. And then I wanted white moss, and I didn't want to buy any specially colored moss. So I just took some of that reindeer moss and some of that antique white acrylic paint, and we're just going to paint the moss. I thought having some white or ivory moss in there is going to add a creepy factor and give it more depth and colors. And so I just kind of paint all over. It's okay if some parts of it are still brown. That's fine. I just wanted to add some color, and I'm so glad I did. It just gave it an extra, like, creepy factor. I don't know why, but the ivory, I really like the addition to it. And I just kind of spread that all around anywhere that needed a little pop of white. I guess you could get that effect a little bit with spider webs, too, if you wanted. I'm going to use some more bugs. And then my son said, you need mushrooms. I remembered I had some of these little wooden mushrooms from the fall section at Dollar Tree. And so what I'm going to do is just paint these ivory with some acrylic. And we can have some little tiny mushrooms growing on the tray as well. And I absolutely love that idea. He is really creative, my son. He always gives me lots of great ideas. I really miss having him around the house. He was such a good inspiration to help me when I was working on a DIY. So I'm going to go ahead and do a total of 3 of them. Just painting them all over ivory, kind of like some of the mushrooms we have in Florida. I didn't want anything too colorful. And then we can kind of stand those in the moss in little areas like that where I don't really have anything. You know, you don't think of mushrooms being creepy, but when you add them to a project like this, it does give it a little bit of a creepy factor. Now for the rest of the black bugs from that reptile set from the Dollar Tree, I have a scorpion, I have a frog. I thought the frog would be cute maybe on top of my mossy skull. I have like a ant. I can put it over here, a little mantis, maybe climbing off my tray over here. So I just kind of scatter those around. And then I just add a little bit more Dollar Tree greenery. This one kind of has kind of a fern feel to it. I thought it was creepy. They're not very tall. I just pull off some of those arrangements and scatter it around just to give kind of the back a little bit more height. And this is how it turned out, our creepy Halloween terrarium. I absolutely love how this turned out. It is so cool. And next football game at college, I'm sure I'm going to have to pack this in my car for my son's dorm because I'm sure he's going to want it for Halloween decor. Very creepy and cool. What do you guys think about this one? I wanted to make a skull topiary. So I picked up a metal pot, flower pot from the Dollar Tree, and 5 of their plastic skulls. They do kind of have these sticky labels on the bottom of them, and I spent way too much time trying to get those off. They were a little hard, and I was trying not to dent them in. They're not the most durable skulls, but you know what? They're really cheap. But I don't like the way they're painted. I thought we could make them look a little bit better using some ivory spray paint and kind of hand painting them since they're going to be like kind of the star of the show. But I have 5 of them, right? So I thought spray paint would be easier so I could paint all 5 of them. And then I can go in and kind of hand paint the details. That will be easier. And as you can see, just changing the color a little bit, making them look more like bleached bone really gives them a creepy skull or skeleton feel. So these are my other 2. I just lay them in there upside down. I spray paint them with the ivory. Let them dry and flip them over. They do dent a little bit. Don't worry too much if yours dents like that because we're going to be cutting holes in these to make this into a tall topiary. So you'll always be able to pop those back out if you really need to. But it kind of makes them look even creepier with a dented skull, right? Then it's time to paint them. I'm using a brown paint. I think this is Burnt Umber by Apple Barrel. And I just use one of those little chunky brushes from the Dollar Tree. And I went in the eyes and I went in the nose. The reason I chose brown is because I thought we could make them look old and dirty, right, and distressed, rather than the boldness of the black just being in the eyes and the nose. So I wasn't sure if I liked how I did my eyes, so I kind of wiped them off while they were still wet, and I do end up going back and painting those a little bit. But for now, I want to paint the cracks in the skull, so I just go in with a little tiny paintbrush. You can see where they're embossed, and what I'm trying to do is just trap some paint down in the cracks. I wipe off the excess with a baby wipe, and then I kind of distress with that as well, kind of rubbing that all over the skull to make it look aged and creepy. And that really brings out the details in these, right? Seeing the cracks and stuff like that. So I went ahead and painted the eyes back in a little bit like that. I just found that sometimes I went a little bit too heavy. I also went a little bit heavy went on this one's eyes, but the great thing is if your paint is still wet, you can always wipe it off and distress with it and try again, which is what I'm going to do. I do want them to look old and dirty, like they've been buried underground. And you also want to do the nostrils, the teeth, and of course, all of the little cracks here. There's this one that goes all the way back. And there's also ones like on the cheek and stuff like that. You don't want to forget any of them. And again, I like all the excess brown paint because I can distress with it. You could also do this with Antique Wax by Waverly. It's going to give you a very similar effect. It might not dry quite as fast as the paint though. And so at this point, I've kind of got a system. I know exactly where I'm wanting to paint and distress all of them. And I got a little bit better at painting the eyes. I do want them to look a little distressed, but I also want them to kind of look like dark voids. And I want them to look like they have old, dirty teeth and stuff like that. And what we're going to do is stack all of these skulls on top of each other and make a really tall topiary. Something that you could use outdoors. I think I'm going to use mine indoors, but it actually turns out so cool. I love DIYing with these skulls from the Dollar Tree. I've had so many DIYs I've made with these over the years. So here is skeleton number 4. If you wanted to stop at 4, or you could only find 4 of the skulls at your Dollar Tree, you could stop there. Mine ended up being a little bit too long, but I did end up making it work with 5 of them. So this is my last skull, giving it the good distress, brown eyes, brown nose holes, brown teeth. And then this is the broomstick that I picked up to make this topiary. I chose this one because it's the adjustable broomstick from Dollar Tree, so that you can make it longer. I thought that would also help to make it shorter, right? I just have to figure out how to take it apart. It's in 2 pieces, like it slides out from each other. And I wasn't sure exactly how to get it apart, but I figured if you took the handle off, you could actually push one through backwards and it came right out. So now I have a shorter pole that I can just go ahead and start cutting these. I wanted to cut a X in the bottom, but be very careful. If you give too much muscle, you're going to have too big of a cut like that. I'm going to hide that one on the bottom though, so it's going to be okay. And then just directly on the other side of the skull, more carefully this time, I'm using my razor blade to do another X. This is going to be my first skull. It's going to be on the bottom again so I can hide that giant slit that I made in there. But I just go ahead and push the broomstick down in there. If you notice that any of the plastic is kind of sticking out like a flap like that, you can always cut it down. It's a really thin plastic, obviously, so it's easy to cut down. So we have our first little skull on there. Now for the next one, I don't want to do it the same. I want it to be kind of tilted a different way. So instead of the back of the head, I'm cutting in the bottom of the chin on this one. I cut a little X, and then directly across from that, I cut another X on the other side so that this skull can go a different direction and it can be kind of pointed a different way as well. It's just a matter of putting it on there. I noticed that the first hole that you go through, it tucks in nicely, but on top there, you do kind of get left with those little bits of flaps of plastic like that are kind of hard to push in. I found that they were just easier to cut off. You're not going to be able to see that in the final project. And kind of push my skulls down. Now I'm going to repeat the same thing I did for the first one. So this one's going to kind of be different than the one that we just did. Cut it, stake it, and cut off the extra flaps. These broom handles are actually really durable steel, so it should be strong enough to hold everything up. Definitely stronger than just hot gluing them together. So on this one, I repeated what I did on the second one. So this one's going to be tilted a different way by going underneath the chin. And I'll have them all facing different directions as well. When I got to this point, I realized that I probably should have done 4 instead of 5, but you know what? I already painted 5, so we're going to make it work just by adding a little bit more length to it by using the broom handle, because why not? We have it, right? And for the top one, you only have to cut a hole in the bottom because you don't want a hole on the very top of your topiary. I attach my broom handle back to the broomstick with some hot glue and then add my 5th and final skull to the DIY. So this is what it looks like at this point. You can kind of mess with them, have them go different directions and stuff like that. But I also wanted to kind of fill in any gaps that you might see the broomstick, or just gaps in general in between them, and to cover up any of the cuts that we made in the skull. I thought Spanish moss would be perfect for that. Been having trouble finding that at the Dollar Tree, so I had to break down and go to Walmart to get some Spanish moss. So if you can't find any either, I know I've heard from a lot of you guys that you can't. Walmart has like both the Spanish moss and like the reindeer moss, and it's not too bad. You get quite a bit in a bag. And so each one of the gaps between the 5, I add a little bit of Spanish moss. I also add some to the very bottom. That's going to hide any of the cuts and transitions. It's also going to make it look creepy, right? So that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing on the side. I'm so glad that I decided to paint these. They look so much creepier with the hand painting versus the way they come. I just always think they look a little bit cheap. I always like to try to make them look a little bit more high end with some paint. So again, just between every one And if I have any areas at all that I think you can see the skulls touching or see any of the broomstick, I just make sure that that's covered. For the flower pot, I knew I needed some foam to put the broomstick down into. I'm going to use 2 of these. You could probably get away with 1, but they're the little round floral foam pieces from Dollar Tree. I put some Dollar Tree stones in the bottom to kind of weigh it down so it's not too top heavy, right? And then I put my foam in here. I just went ahead and attached them with hot glue and cover the top with a little bit more Spanish moss. And I don't have a lot of broomstick left at this point. Again, I did a really tall one. And so I cut a hole in the foam with a pair of scissors and I wanted to see if this was going to work. So I add a little hot glue as well. Add this down into the foam and I wanted to see if it was sturdy enough. What I found is it really wasn't. I'm going to have to weigh it down and make the foam tighter in there to make it sturdier, stand straight up, and not be tippy. So I'm just going to do that with some more Dollar Tree rocks. As you can see, there's a small gap around the side of the circles. If I just completely bury those in rocks and stones, it made everything steady and it's going to stand up. Now, if you're going to use this outside, you might want to use concrete or something like that in a flower pot, or use a longer broomstick and put it down into some rocks to make it a little bit sturdier. But it's definitely sturdy enough to be indoors for sure. And I absolutely love how the little skull topiary turned out. Look how cool they look. Don't they look creepy? I love the fact that they're going like kind of every which way, looking around. So whenever you're walking around, there's like one looking at you. But this is great because it's so tall. You can put this on the floor to decorate for Halloween just about anywhere. I think I'm going to use mine maybe in my entryway area. Okay, for the next DIY, I picked up one of these skeleton mermaids at the Dollar Tree. They don't have them all the time, but sometimes I get lucky and find them there. But I thought it would be perfect to make into a little Merwitch for Halloween. So I also picked up a Dollar Tree long sign. I'm going to have it be vertical though, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove the hanger that was on there and just use like a leftover sawtooth hanger that I have from a canvas. Just nailing that into the back of the sign to make a hanging sign. I think it's going to be the perfect length for our little Merwitch. I'm going to do like kind of a faux ocean scene. So I picked up like all the different shades of blue. I don't think I end up using all these, but I'm just going to do a really abstract beach scene. It's so easy to do. So I'm going to start with like my lightest blue up here at what's going to be the top of our long sign to do the sky. And trust me, anybody can do it. Like an abstract beach scene is like one of the easiest things you can do. The only thing that was a little bit challenging on this is that I'm painting up and down so that I don't get any on the frame of it. But I'm just switching up different shades of blue as I'm going down and covering up the darker brown wood on the back of the sign. I was trying to avoid having to tape off the frame. But I do want like just a variation in different shades of blue, like you're looking out at the ocean and all the different shades. Now, once I get it on there, I can kind of blend it together, going horizontally, which is like I would like to do it in the first place. And it's really forgiving. I mean, you can always add more shades of blue, but again, I just wanted a really abstract beach scene. So is actually going to be pretty easy to do, just kind of blending those all together. I'm going to make the little mermaid into a witch. That's why I also got like the little broomsticks there from the Dollar Tree. And I really love how she turned out. It was pretty cute. Now I do want a little bit more variety here, so I did go in on the top with some more light blue because I wasn't really liking the way it was looking. And then, like I said, super forgiving. And I kind of wanted to look wavy too. So I decided to kind of add some brush marks in there, kind of do like a wavy look as you're coming forward, making the color a little bit darker down here in front. Now, a lot of times when I do a beach scene, I do like real sand. For this one, I thought I could probably get away with just paint. So I'm just using a paint in like a sandy color and we're just going to paint the bottom. But if you wanted to use sand, you always could. I always just love it when I find these little mermaids at the Dollar Tree. I know that you can get them at Spirit Halloween. The advantage of the ones at Spirit Halloween are that they're jointed, but of course they're a lot more expensive than $1.25, like I got mine. Now for where the sand and the water comes together, I just did a little bit of ivory, and we're just going to do a little sea foam here, blended together. See, I told you it was going to be really easy, just super abstract. And that's going to be a great background for our little merwitch. Here she is, our little mermaid skeleton. I'm going to remove the little plastic hanger she has on the top of her skull, and I'm going to paint her. I just think that the Dollar Tree skeletons always look better painted, so I'm just using an ivory acrylic, and we're going to go all over her. And if she does have some of that like brownish color, you know, coming through after I'm done painting it, I'm fine with that. It's just going to make it look a little bit more distressed and more like bone. But I just think it looks so much better in this color. And so I just go over the front of her. I was so excited the first time I found one of these at the Dollar Tree because I had tried to figure out how I could make a mermaid skeleton. And I'm like, I couldn't find like a fish skeleton there to combine it with, but I was definitely thinking, how can I make this? You definitely have to keep your eye out for her, though. I noticed that my stores a lot of times get her in a little bit later than everything else. And so, like, closer to Halloween. So keep your eyes out for her. I didn't want her head to, like, go back and forth like it was. So I secured it to the neck here with a little bit of hot glue, just to keep it still, because we're going to be making her into a merwitch. So she's going to be needing to wear like a witch's hat and stuff like that. And I don't want her head like kind of turning back and forth when I put her on this side. So I'm just going over her again, touching her up a little bit with just a little bit of a slight distress. I think she's looking pretty good, and we can start making her into a merwitch. For her hair, I want it to be creepy, so I'm going to use raffia for this. You could also use like probably like a grass skirt or something like that if you don't have any raffia, but I think the raffia looks a little bit creepier. So I just take a piece and I hot glue it to the top of the skeleton's head. And as you can see, I didn't even paint the back of it. You totally could, but you're not going to be able to see it on the back when I get it mounted to the side. So I'm just giving her enough hair here to kind of cover the sides, which you're going to be able to see from the front. We are going to be making a witch's hat for her as well. So I think that's looking pretty good. She's looking kind of worse for wear, but she is like a merwitch. I don't want her to be like super attractive. So I just take some black felt from Dollar Tree and I just cut out like a little cone shape here where I can spin it around like that to make a witch's hat. Super easy to make. I'm just going to kind of make it in two different parts. So it's also going to need like the front of the witch's hat too. So I just tried cutting out some more of the felt where I can cut like just a circle for the brim, right? I folded it in fourths to try to make my circle cutting a little bit easier. And then you can attach the cone part to the top, just using a little bit of hot glue and gluing that together. And we have a little DIY witch hat for our merwitch. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try it on her head. Since she's going to be up against the back of a sign, I did have to cut the back of it off so it will sit flat and won't poke her out from the sign. And I just attach it with a little bit of hot glue and slide that on to our little skeleton mermaid's head. She's looking really fun so far. I really love her. Now that she has her hat, it is time to try to put her together. We have this abstract ocean scene that we painted, and I let dry, and I'm going to kind of display her on there like that. She's a little bit larger than the sign, but I kind of like that. I'm fine with it. I'm just going to attach her with hot glue to the sign and maybe to the frame down here too, just for a little bit added sturdiness, and her hat to the top of the frame. Basically anywhere she can kind of comes in contact with it. And I'm glad I decided to give her hair. I think that looks creepy. For a broomstick, these little broomsticks from the Dollar Tree is just the perfect size. I just go ahead and remove the bow. It's kind of on there with a bread tie. and I think it looks better without it. It's just the right size for her. And so I thought I could just glue it here next to her, attaching it to the sign and to the skeleton, where it's just kind of like leaning up against her shoulder. And since I did have her at the beach, I'm going to add a few coastal touches using some of these little seashells that you get in the glass bottles from Dollar Tree on our little beach scene. And then I decided I wanted like maybe a little bat like flying behind her. I thought these were a little colorful, these felt stickers from the Dollar Tree, but you can kind of take them apart like this. I just wanted the black bat, so I just peeled it off and attached it with a little hot glue to have like a bat flying behind her for more of that spooky Halloween vibe. Just going to trim up her hair a little bit. I want it wild, but I don't want it like sticking out too much. But I think she looks really fun, definitely whimsical. I love doing like a beach theme for about any kind of holiday. Now I decided I wanted to lighten up her broom a little bit, so I just did that with some ivory paint, kind of distressing it just to brighten it up a little bit. And then I decided I also wanted to add some Halloween fun to the frame. This part is totally optional. I just wanted to bring a little bit more black into it. This is some of this, it's kind of like, it kind of looks like coral, right? This garland from the Dollar Tree in black. And I thought we could make it look like coral, kind of like shooting up from the beach. And so I just glue it like in like 3 spots just to make sure it stays in place. But I think it looks creepy, but I also think it looks a little bit like seaweed or something. And I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side. This one needs to be a little bit shorter. I don't have as much room to decorate over here. But I'm glad I decided to add that. I think it really gave it the spooky factor and brought a little bit more black creepiness into the project. This is how she turned out, our creepy little Merwitch. Doesn't she look creepy? I love painting the skeletons because you can make them look a little bit old like that. And the distressing helped with that as well. But really whimsical, really fun. So keep your eye out for the skeleton Merwitch or mermaid at your Dollar Tree because she's really fun to decorate with. I wanted to do a spooky little crystal ball using one of these plastic balls from the Dollar Tree's Halloween section and one of their black candlestick. Mine had a little bit of piece of metal sticking out of mine like wire, but I was able to clip that off pretty well. It's kind of the shorter one, I guess. And then I love these little plastic globes they have this year for Halloween. I think they have them tinted different colors. They looked different colors in the box at the Dollar Tree. I picked one that I thought was really spooky. I love that it's already stained. Now for the lights, I'm actually going to use the lights from one of these Dollar Tree glass bottles that have the little cork lights in them. And the reason I'm using that one instead of the fairy lights from the Dollar Tree is because the battery pack is so much smaller and I should be able to fit it inside the crystal ball. And so I won't have to hide the battery pack, but you can kind of use whatever you can find, I guess. It's not a lot of lights on there, but I think it's going to be plenty to light this up. So I wanted to kind of see what it looked like with just the lights in there first. And it does look cool, but you can kind of see the wires, and I don't really want that. I wanted to have more of a cloudy crystal ball kind of feel. So I'm just going to use some pillow fluff from an old pillow, just breaking some parts in there and putting that in there with the lights and seeing if I like that better. And I do, but you can still kind of see the wires because I added the wire lights first, right? So I put a little polyfill in there first and then the lights, and I kind of go back and forth with those to hide the wires, but I do kind of try to make sure that all the actual lights are like near the surface of the plastic globe so you can see it. The other purpose of the pillow fluff is it's going to hide my battery pack so you won't be able to see it. I was trying to decide if I wanted to like kind of drill a hole there in my bottom so I wouldn't have to take it apart to turn it on and off. There's a little switch on there, but I decided I kind of wanted it all hidden. So it's going to be easy enough to open and close if I want to turn it on and off. So I just glued it to the bottom of the plastic cup, and I'm just going to display it on the candlestick like that. I'm not going to attach it since I do need to be able to take it apart to turn the power switch on and off. So That will work. Now, if you did need to hide a battery pack, you could probably hide it underneath this globe and then do something creepy like some creepy cloth or something like that in between the candlestick and the crystal ball. I just added a little black and white spiderweb ribbon from the Dollar Tree to the base of it just to give it a little bit more decor, but again, it's not going to interfere with being able to open and shut it. And I'm just going to sit it on top like that. I think that's going to make it easier for turning it on and off, even though I like to leave these things on as much as I can. This is what the little crystal ball looks like during the day. Super simple DIY, but I think it's really cool and kind of spooky for Halloween. Let me show you also how it looks lit up at night. It gives a really fun glow. I've used kind of a similar globe, not this exact one from the Dollar Tree, to actually make a moon one with little bats on it for Halloween too, if you've checked out other Halloween videos that I've done this year. And that one turned out really cool too, because it does kind of look like a moon too, right? But the tinted really kind of gives it that crystal ball finish. Now for the next DIY, I designed this great owl wearing a witch's hat, watercolor for you. To print out, it will be in the description of today's video. I printed mine out on cardstock, pretty much filling the entire sheet of paper. I do want to do it 8 by 10 though. I'm just going to kind of cut some of it off. I'm using one of these Dollar Tree wooden frames. And I'm actually going to use the glass in it for the canvas for a hard surface to glue our watercolor to. So I can use that glass as a template so I'll know exactly how big I want this to be. I'm just going to kind of center my owl on there. And then I'm just going to take like a fine tipped Sharpie. You could always use like a ball point pen or something like that, and just kind of sketch it out if it's a little bit too big. I printed mine whatever would fit on my paper. I don't have like a printer that prints completely to the edge. And then I'm just going to trim this out. What I'm going to do is Mod Podge this onto the surface of the glass in the frame to make it look like a painting, because I'm going to be using Mod Podge. It gives you that great like brushstroke texture in there to kind of make it look a little bit less like framed art. It looks really pretty when you do this technique. So I'm covering my entire glass with just a matte Mod Podge. I want it to be nice and thick to hold the cardstock on. And I just make sure that I get it centered perfectly on there. My edges line up. And then with dry hands, I just smooth the image out the best that I can. And then you don't even have to really wait for it to dry when you're using cardstock. That's one reason I like to Mod Podge with it. And I'm going to cover the top of it with more Mod Podge. Probably did a little bit too much, but I'm trying to get it spread out evenly, going up and down with my brush strokes, and so I don't have too much of it sitting anywhere so that it will dry nice and clear. I went in with my heat gun to kind of help it. Once it's dry enough, I can then go in and smooth it to make sure there's no bubbling. Underneath of it, the Mod Podge is still going to be a little bit wet, so it would still be able to seal it down so I don't get any bubbles. Now for the frame, I'm going to paint it black. And I'm just using black paint. I'm going to let a little bit of that great wood come through. Really love this frame from the Dollar Tree. It's one of my favorites. I've been trying to pick this up whenever I see it. So I'm just going over it with one coat, but I'm going over all of it, including this like little bump out portion. And so then I'm also going to have to be doing the inside edges and the outside edges of my frame, but I do like that distressed look for Halloween. I think it looks fun and creepy. So I think it's going to look really nice with this owl print. I really love that owl print. I think it's so pretty. I might have to sell that one in my Etsy shop as well, but don't worry, I will give it to all of my Crafty Beach Mum viewers for free. So that looks pretty good. That's the look I'm going for on that. Got a little bit of paint back here, so I'm just going to clean that up real quick with a baby wipe. And we can start putting this together. Since it's a glass, it fits in there perfectly. I still need the staples, and I can also use the back. So I'm just going to pop that back on there. I'm actually going to have this be a hanging sign. It has a hanger built in, so that's going to work out well. But you could always use it as a standing sign as well. It was so easy to DIY with my free printable, And I can't wait to see if you guys recreate this. You'll have to share it with me over on our Facebook group. I always have that linked in my videos, and it's a private group where you can share your DIYs. This is how it turned out. I also made this one for my son for his dorm for Halloween. He goes to FAU. They are the Owls, and I thought he would think this would be really cool for Halloween.
Okay, next DIY, we're going to use one of these Halloween signs. This one says Eek, has a bat on it. And I'm going to show you how you can take a Halloween sign from the Dollar Tree and add your own spin on it. So again, we're going to use Cloudless by Apple Barrel, and we're going to do the entire back of the sign in that blue color. Don't be afraid to use like whatever colors that matches your decor or that you like for your Halloween decor. You definitely don't have to do orange, and I don't think I really did any orange today, and we did all Halloween DIYs. Now I love a blue sign with like white writing on it. I love that for like a coastal farmhouse feel, and I have a lot of signs like that in my home. I think it looks really beachy, so I thought we could do the same thing with a Halloween sign. Now, it was kind of hard to get in between all of the creases all around the letters and the bat. So that's why I used a brush. And then even when you dry it, you'll see a few little areas that you can still see the raw wood through. So I'm just going in. My brush is almost dry, but just trying to get any of those areas blue. Now for the Eek letters, I'm using a makeup sponge and some antique parchment. Acrylic paint, and I'm just sponging that on. It's okay if I get a little bit here and there on the back sign because we're going to distress this with that color anyway to give it that coastal farmhouse vibe. I thought one coat was definitely not enough, so I'm going to go over it here with a second coat to really make those white letters pop against that blue background. Now the bat, of course, I wanted it to be black, and I really don't want the black on my sign, so I used a smaller brush and some black acrylic paint, and I'm carefully trying to paint the bat on. I did really good on the first half. The second half, I got a little too confident, and I did get a little black on my sign, but as long as you're fast, you can wipe off a lot of that with a baby wipe. It did kind of take off some of my blue paint too, though, so I do have to touch that up real quick just to make that look a little bit better with that cloudless color. And I really love the blue, white, and black. I've done that a lot with my Halloween decor. I think it looks coastal but fun for Halloween. And then I told you I was going to distress it with the ivory, and that's what I do. I just work in one direction. I distress everything, all the blue, even the black on the bat. And then I follow that up with a baby wipe, blending it, wiping off any excess distress that I don't want. Also kind of wiping off any of the areas that I got some ivory on there before to kind of make that look more consistent. And you can just kind of work with it until you're happy with it. If you find that you distress too much and you can't wipe it off, you can always go back in with your original color, but it gives you a nice rustic feel. Now I take some Dollar Tree twine, and we're just going to make a new hanger for this guy. And then burn off the fuzzies, and then I wanted to frame it out. Dollar Tree signs can be kind of thin, so I find that if you frame them out with like rope and stuff, it makes it look a little bit more substantial and makes it look a little bit better. So this is the 6-foot white nautical rope from Dollar Tree, and we're just going to start here at the top, right there where the hanger is, and glue the rope all the way around, slightly overlapping the edges to frame this out. And that's going to give it another coastal touch for coastal Halloween. And I think it goes nicely with the Eek letters. It's like a perfect match with that color of ivory. Now, I don't really like the unwound rope here at the top, and this is the really thick rope, so I thought it looked a little shaggy at the top, but once I got that glued down, I decided to go ahead and do a bow at the top anyway, and so that'll cover that part up. I love this ribbon from the Dollar Tree. This is the white ribbon with the black bats all over it. I think it's perfect for that. I'm just going to cut down a little piece of ribbon here and cut a little rectangular piece. We're going to do a very simple bow, an X bow. So we're going to need 2 pieces. I'm not going to add anything else to it. I don't think it needs very much. I just think it needs something at the top. So a very simple expo like that. Now these are like wired ribbon, and so they do hold their shape pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and dovetail the ends just by folding them and cutting out a triangular shape there. And then kind of folding them so that they will sit properly, like cinching them in the middle and putting them together in the shape of an X. I'm going to bring all of that together with just a piece of twine, tying that around the front, kind of shaping that out, making sure all the fabric is going the right direction, tying that on the back, and then I just go around and tie that twine to our hanger to kind of initially tie this in place. And then I do want it to stay in place and cover up the top part of the rope where it's a little frayed there. So I do glue it down a little bit to make sure that covers that up. Now, I always like to do something fun too, like in the center to cover up the twine or the zip tie or whatever I use to make a bow. And so for this, I thought it just made sense that I would have to use a bat. So I'm going to use one of these cute little glitter bats from Dollar Tree. They actually come on a little clip, so I thought I would take advantage of that. I don't really appreciate the glitter, but it's the only thing that has glitter on it, so I think we can make it work. I just clip it from the bottom right in the middle of our expo, and we have a little flying bat here at the top of our little eek sign. A lot of these Halloween signs this year are a lot bigger than they normally are from the Dollar Tree, and you can make a really cute DIY like this with them. And since they're just all raw wood, you can always do your own color scheme like this and make something really cute. But this is a way you can do a coastal version of your Halloween sign with the blue and the white colors, and it looks nice and beachy. And this is how it turned out, our little blue, white, and black eek sign. I love it. I think it's so cute. Sometimes I don't like the fact that the wood parts are already glued onto the sign because it makes them a little bit harder to paint, but with a little bit of patience, you can definitely do it. And it does make the project cheaper. You're getting the wood round, you're getting the letters, you're getting the bat.
Now for the next DIY, this is going to be really easy. I picked up a Dollar Tree chair cover of a skeleton rib cage. And since it's made out of this great plasticky material, I thought this would be great for an outdoor pillow for my bench next to my front door for Halloween. As you can see, it's really large, which is what we're going for impact pieces on today's projects. So I just take an old bed pillow. I had about 2/3 of an old bed pillow left over because this one is so large, it's going to take quite a bit of polyfill. But they also sell polyfill at the Dollar Tree now, but it would take several packages of it for sure. And I love doing this with old pillows. I never throw them away. I always save them for their polyfill. And I just start filling it up until it gets nice and full. It's not going to be super firm, kind of more of a decorative pillow, but I do want it to be a little bit soft. And I just love this material for doing this. As you can see, it's open at the bottom, so it's just perfect for a pillow. All I have to do is close that to have a no-sew pillow. That's when I realized kind of how big this was. So adding more polyfill to make it look like a pillow. And then I just simply take some hot glue. I did half of it at a time. I put hot glue there on the seam and just push it together. Couldn't be any easier. This is probably the easiest no-sew pillow from Dollar Tree I think I've ever done. And I think it's going to hold up really well outside being made out of that material. And I like the colors on it too, just being plain black with like a 3D version of a skeleton torso on there. I normally put my life-size skeleton out front, but he's had a lot of damage over the years. I've had to reconstruct his elbow and stuff like that. I'm not sure if he's fit to put out this year, but if so, I think he might look cute sitting next to this great pillow. They also have one in the chair cover that is a jack-o'-lantern. So if you'd rather like the bright orange jack-o'-lantern face, you could totally do that with that one as well. But I was kind of going for a black and white color scheme mostly for today, except for a witch that I DIY. Isn't that so cute? I love it, and it's nice and large.
Okay, next DIY. Have you guys seen these new signs at Dollar Tree? I was able to pick them up in this like medium wood or white. I think they're so cute and they're just blanks. They're perfect for crafting. Now, I designed 3 little images that I thought were very kind of vintage Halloween. These little watercolor images. The first one here is just a simple skull, very easy to cut out. I just printed these on my printer on regular cardstock. I always buy that at Target by the ream. I find it's easier to Mod Podge and to craft with because you're not going to get any wrinkling. The next watercolor image is this great little jack-o'-lantern. I think he looks so retro and cute. So we're just going to cut that out. I wanted to keep the shapes kind of simple so they would be easy to trim out. And I will share all of these printable files for you. They'll be in the description below next to the description of this craft. So the last one is going to be a cute little ghost. That was probably the hardest one to cut out, but nothing major. So I just go around all the little different tail pieces here. And this one kind of has more of a purple tint to it than I originally thought. You know, sometimes when you print it, it looks a little bit different than it looks on your printer, but I think that's okay. I think we can make that work. And I want to do a really cute little Halloween sign with these guys. So I'm going to start with some matte Mod Podge. I'm going to go all over the wood block and then lay my cardstock little skeleton right on top, adding more Mod Podge to the top, trying to keep it in one direction. The reason I do the whole sign is because I want to keep that same matte finish, and I don't want to change in like glossiness between the little character that we're adding and the background sign. So we're going to do the same thing here on this cute little jack-o'-lantern. I think he looks so cute with those round eyes. And then we're going to repeat it again here on the little ghost. And just a quick, easy DIY. Again, I'm loving these blank signs because there's nothing to dismantle. They're ready to go. You can kind of come up with whatever kind of Halloween sign you want. And I think this one turned out so much more high end than any of the signs that you could get ready made at Dollar Tree for the Halloween aisle. And then it's just a matter of drying it, and look how cute it looks so far. Now I wanted to add some black to it. I didn't really have any black on it yet. And I also wanted to kind of give it like a little sticker bumpy border. So I didn't have black, but that's okay because you can always paint these little stickers from Dollar Tree. These are my favorite because they have like glue attaching one to the next. So you can pull them off in strips. So I just took some black acrylic and gave it one coat of paint. And now we have a little black little stickers that we can put all around the edges. I wanted to have a very kind of vintage, retro looking frame, but nothing too wide that was going to take away from the image itself. And these were just the right size. So this is what I mean by you can peel off a whole strip. And if your strip's too long, you can just figure out how long it is, just pull it off, and then keep going with that strip going around the sides. Now, I wasn't sure. I thought that I was probably going to have enough on one sheet of these little stickers to frame all 3 signs. And it was so funny at the end because I had exactly enough. Perfect to the very last one. So that's a fun coincidence. I thought I was going to have to open another package. But see how this gives like just a little bit of a frame to these signs, but it also gives some like kind of retro character. And I only did 1 coat. So, I mean, there might be a little green showing through here and there on those, which is just going to kind of make them look even more aged. And which is your favorite image here? I think mine is the jack-o'-lantern, but I really love that little skull too. Super cute and such an easy thing to do to print. I don't know. I have an EcoTank printer that I've had for, I don't know, 6 months. I absolutely love it. It doesn't take cartridges and I've never had to refill it. And you guys know I print stuff all the time. And I'll have to add that to my Amazon shop below so you guys can see what I have if you are in the market for a printer. I absolutely love it. I've went through so many printers, and this is my absolute favorite one. But this is how my little Halloween sign turned out. I think it's so sweet and cute. Not quite spooky for Halloween, but definitely cute decor. And this is how it looks hanging out together.
Okay, the next DIY is going to be super easy. I picked up 2 glass bottles today at the Dollar Tree, and I really liked the shape of them because what I want to do is make like a sand timer, like a Halloween sand timer. I thought it would be a fun and unique idea for some decor. And you know how the hourglass, it goes from one to the other? I thought these were the perfect size. So I just removed the tag from the bottom. They're clear glass, which is exactly what I wanted for this project. And I don't really need the corks for this project, so I'm going to attach them like mouth to mouth on the bottle so the sand can go from one to the other, just like an hourglass. They were exactly what I was looking for. I was so excited I found them at the Dollar Tree. Now for the coastal bit, I'm going to be adding sand. So Dollar Tree sand. And, Crafter Square has these little funnels as well, which makes filling things like this with sand way easier without making a mess. Now, mine's not going to be an accurate sand timer because the opening between the 2 bottles is actually kind of large, but it's kind of fun to play with and it's a fun piece of decor. So I just put as much sand in there as I thought would work. And then since I'm doing glass to glass, I decided super glue would probably not be strong, or super glue would probably be necessary because I didn't think hot glue would be strong enough and I didn't have any E6000. So I used some of these little individual super glue. And I just go around one of them carefully, trying not to get glue inside the bottle. And then I stand the other glass bottle on top. Now I did have to kind of hold it in place to get it to match up perfectly without slipping to one side or the other. You kind of have to really make sure that you have it on there perfectly before your glue sets up because that super glue works really well. And since it's such a tight seal, I don't think I'll get any leaking or anything like that. For a little bit more coastal decor, I'm adding some twine. So right there at the seam, once my super glue set up, I start just winding the twine around it. It's going to cover that seam. It's going to give a little bit of twine, and it probably will help hold it together even better. So I just kind of wrapped it around until you couldn't see the lip of either one of the bottles anymore, and just hot glue my twine down and cover that up. Now it's just a little hourglass at this point, but I'm going to make it Halloween decor for Coastal Halloween, so I'm going to add some Halloween items to it as well. First, I just burnt off the fuzzies here. This was such a fun idea. I really love how it turned out. Now, I was trying to think how I could decorate the glass with something fun for Halloween, and I decided to use some of the rub-on transfers. And then I'm also going to use a little spider ring to go on the section in the middle. Now, these are the only spider rings I can find at Dollar Tree, the ones with the jewels. But it's really easy just to paint the jewel black with some acrylic paint. And now you have a creepy black spider to go there in the middle. And the ring should come in handy as well. Now, these are the rub-on transfers. I couldn't remember if these work on glass. And they actually did. So I'm going to do some bats and skulls on here. Fun Halloween items. And whichever side's up is going to be the right side up of these, I guess. And so I tried to do things that didn't really matter if they were upside down or not. I just scrape this on there. Just make sure it is down before you pull off your plastic. My ear didn't go, so I just put it back on there and scrape it on there, and you can't even tell. So I flip it over for the other side. I do a little bit smaller bat on this side, so I'm going to add another creature to it too to kind of balance it out. But I'm going to have a smaller bat here. I don't know what works better, using a scraper like this or just using your fingernail. With the glass being kind of round, it might work better just using your fingernail. I didn't have a popsicle handy. And so I'm also going to do a little skull. It was part of a skull candle on that same set. And I'm just going to cut out the skull from it. And I think that's the perfect size to finish out this side of our little sand timer, a little hourglass. And again, scraping that on, making sure it's good and down. Now for the middle, I'm just going to pop on the spider ring right around the lip there where the twine wraps around. I don't even have to glue it on, it stays on. And it's a fun decor piece that is coastal, Halloween, and it's fun to play with. And the sand goes straight from one bottle to the next. This is how it turned out. It was really easy to do. So keep a lookout for a bottle like this at Dollar Tree. I just got them at my Dollar Tree today. So I think it's something that they should have. You could always use a different size bottle as well, as long as it's got like kind of a long skinny neck on it like that. And they're both exactly the same.
Okay, the next DIY that we could do, a really simple bat wreath. So I'm going to use some of these little black felt bats from the Dollar Tree, a Dollar Tree burlap bag, and one of the little black wood bead wreaths from Dollar Tree. I thought we could do a really simple little bat wreath. So I'm just going to cut down a rectangular size piece out of one of those little bags because I want to have like a burlap border behind the bat. Now, I wasn't sure what kind of glue to use on this. I probably should have used hot glue. I ended up using tacky glue, and the problem with that is maybe I used too much because it did come through and it was kind of obvious on the front of the black felt, but that's okay because I have lots of these, right? So I'm just actually going to layer it and make it a little bit thicker, which I kind of liked that effect more in the end anyway. This time I switched to hot glue and that worked way better. And I just hot glued our two little felt bats together. Now I wanted to have like a burlap trim, so I'm just going to use the bat itself as a guide to cut out a trim, like, I don't know, a quarter, a half an inch around there. The only kind of tricky parts were trying to go around like the little ears and stuff like that. And then again, I didn't really want like pointy corners, so I did try to round those off if possible. And then I want to hang the little bat down inside this little black wood bead wreath that I got at the Dollar Tree. I was so excited to find this in black. I thought that would be perfect for Halloween, but I guess you could probably paint any of the other ones too. But definitely a step saved. Whenever I see black things like this at the Dollar Tree, I think Halloween. So I just take some Dollar Tree twine, and it was a little fuzzy, so I burnt the fuzzies off. I am going to tie it off here on our little wood ring. I thought while I was at it, I might as well make a hanger for it too. So I'm just going to knot like a little hoop hanger here, but leaving the long piece here where I can string the bat, suspending it in the middle of the wreath. I want it to dangle down like right in the center. So I use a bead of hot glue here on the back of the burlap for the bat and just lay it right on top of that twine. Just exactly where I want it, then I can just trim off the excess twine. Now to decorate the top of this, I thought it needed a really cute little bow, and I found the perfect ribbon at Dollar Tree. It is this white wired ribbon that has little black bats all over it. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a quick little bow. All you need is a zip tie. So you just kind of pinch it together to give yourself a little tail. And then you'll have to twist it if you have a pattern on this that is only on one side. Make a loop, pinch it in the middle, then make another loop. It's all still going the same way. Now I am going to go ahead and continue that. Everything is right side out. And make 2 more loops for the back of the bow. I did have to twist it a little bit to get the ribbon to be the right direction for my other tail. And then I just cinch it all together with a Dollar Tree zip tie and pull the little tails down to the same size. I'm going to trim those up. I don't want super long tails on these. I just wanted a really cute little bat bow for the top, and it's perfect for our black, white, and burlap. So I'm just going to take some more Dollar Tree twine and tie the little bow onto our wood bead wreath here. And then the only thing I'll have to disguise is the little plastic zip tie. You could still kind of see it there at the top. And I found the perfect thing to disguise that because I needed something kind of tiny. And then I remembered that I got these little black bat cupcake toppers at cupcake picks, I guess, at Dollar Tree that have little black bats on them. So I thought that'd be perfect. I just broke off the little like toothpick there at the end. It did leave a little bit of exposed wood there, so I did have to go in with some black acrylic and touch that up real quick. But then I'm just going to glue that right on top of the zip tie, and it was the perfect little finishing touch. For this super easy little wreath, I think it's so cute. It would look great anywhere for Halloween. And this is how it turned out, and this is how it looks hanging in my entryway. I love it, and I love those little wood bead wreaths. How cute are those? It really doesn't look like something that you made with supplies from the Dollar Tree.
Now for the next DIY, I picked up this great flocked skull from Dollar Tree. It's so cool. They had it packaged in plastic, which is, I guess, just to protect it. So that's pretty cool. It's black and it's flocked. And I thought we could do something creepy and cool with this using like a Dollar Tree candlestick and a spider. I wanted it to look like there's like a spider crawling down the skull, like towards its eyes. I picked up this gold candlestick from Dollar Tree as well. It is gold, and I wanted gold on this project, but it's a little too brassy gold compared to all the other DIYs we've made today. And I want my spider to be gold too, so I'm using this brilliant gold spray paint to spray paint them first. So I'm just going to turn them both upside down so I can get the undersides of them spray painted too. Especially the candle holder really didn't require very much paint because I'm kind of going from gold to gold. Once I get those dry enough, I'm going to go ahead and flip those over. I really like this shade of gold a little bit better than before, so I just did a coat of spray paint on those, and I'm going to flip my spider over and paint that as well. I do craft in my garage, so I'm okay spray painting out there. Sometimes I like to go outside, but if I put it in a box or something like this, I can actually do it in my garage with very little mess. So I did have a little bit of bubbling on my candle holder, but I'm just going to have that on the back. You're not going to be able to see it. Now there will be some areas of the candlestick not covered by the skull, and we're going to use that as display. So what I'm going to do is just take some reindeer moss and just hot glue that around the edges of the candle holder. So it's going to kind of peek out from the bottom of the black flocked skull just to give it another little fun vibe. I love using the reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree for like a creepy effect. So I do want it kind of going over the edges in a few places so that you'll definitely be able to see it. And then I can have the skull like right on top like that. It has like a flat part here underneath of its jaw or chin here. So that's the best place that I found to attach it. I just use some hot glue and glue that straight to the candle holder just like that. It's pretty lightweight, so it was pretty easy to glue there. And then I also want to glue on the little gold spider that's going down his head. I just put some glue right there on the tab that had the little clip in it and glue that directly to the flock. You do have to kind of hold it for a minute to let that hot glue set up so it doesn't fall off. And I just had a few more places I wanted a little bit more reindeer moss, but this was so easy to put together. I think it's like scary, but it's also kind of elegant with like the gold and the flocked skull. I also got some of these skulls in the green flocked, so it kind of looks mossy. So you could always do that with that one as well. But I was kind of going for some black, spooky Halloween vibes today, so I wanted to try to incorporate black a lot in these Halloween videos. He's kind of really dark there in the picture, but I love how he turned out.
Okay, the next DIY is going to be very simple, very fun for like a coastal Halloween. I picked up a wood sign from the Dollar Tree and one of these little jack-o'-lantern wood signs. He looks super happy. I love the kind of cartoonish face on him. And I thought we could make this into a standing jack-o'-lantern sign for Halloween. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill the hole there with some spackle, but I'm probably going to cover that anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then I'm just going to use a variety of blue colors. This is the Cloudless by Apple Barrel that I was talking about before. I love this color. It's my absolute favorite for coastal decorating. This is Caribbean by Apple Barrel as well. As you can see, it's a lot bluer. And I'm just using the same brush. This one is Caribbean Blue by This is the Target brand, and I do that one as well. It's very similar to the cloudless. It's a little bit darker. And as you can see, I'm just alternating colors. I wanted the darker Caribbean color, this color, to kind of be the horizon of the ocean, the cloudless to be the sky, and the Caribbean blue at the bottom to kind of be like the sea. So that's all we're going to do. It's just a very abstract ocean scene, and then we can start working on the base. I love these little wood slide signs from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use this one to make a base for the jack-o'-lantern. And I still have that very diluted Antique Wax by Waverly that I can make a stain. I kind of want it to look like driftwood. So I stain this. I think it might be a little bit sealed because it didn't really want to take the stain quite that easily. But I think I did change the color a little bit. I did do 2 coats of it, trying to like tint it, kind of give it that driftwood feel, just wiping off the excess with a paper towel. Now to put this little project together, I wanted the back of the jack-o'-lantern to be covered in burlap. That way the eyes, the nose, and the mouth have burlap behind them. And if you can't find a roll of burlap at the Dollar Tree, sometimes you can find burlap in these little bags from the Dollar Tree. So this is a perfect size, so I'm just going to use that by cutting off the back of this Dollar Tree burlap bag. And then that's going to be the perfect size to cover the back of our little jack-o'-lantern. I wanted burlap because it's going to look nice and coastal, but you can also see through it too. So I thought that'd be really fun. I guess you could probably even do a candle behind this if you wanted to light up a little bit through the face. I just cut it into a circular shape there to cover the back of it. And then I was like, you know, this is going to be a standing sign too. So I might as well make the back of it look nice too. So I just used one color. I just used the cloudless and a makeup sponge to do a very thin coat of blue all along the back, just to make it look a little bit nicer and more finished. I love using the makeup sponge because it gives you a very thin layer, and it works great on these thin signs like this from the Dollar Tree. And then we can just attach the burlap to the back. I'm just going to hot glue it as close as I can to all the openings to keep it nice and tight. So like I go around the eyes and then the sides of the face like that, around the nose, and then glue it all around the little jack-o'-lantern mouth. Easy peasy. We have that burlap background. I think it makes it look so much better. And I love the abstract ocean. It's so simple to do, and you really cannot mess that up. Now I just need to find a way to attach it to the stand. And then I also thought I should do something a little bit different with the pumpkin stem. So I just take some Dollar Tree twine, hot glue that to the back, and just simply wrap that around. I think that the twine is going to look really good. It's going to complement the burlap really well. And it's going to make the pumpkin stem look a little bit nicer. I'm not going to do like any leaves or tendrils or anything like that. I wanted this project to be really kind of simple. And you could always decorate this a little bit more, and I'll show you that here in a second. I'm going to go ahead and burn off the fuzzies on my twine here, and then we can attach it to the sign. I didn't want to like do any kind of major construction on that sign, so I thought if I use some of these wood beads from the Dollar Tree, these are the little cube ones, I could use those to glue that to it. It's such a lightweight sign, it doesn't need much to stand up. And then I hot glue the sign to the beads attached to that sign. And it actually worked out really well because, again, the sign is very lightweight. I do add excess hot glue here on the back to make sure it's nice and strong. And here it is, our little ocean jack-o'-lantern. You could always add seashells and stuff like that to the base of it. If you wanted a little bit more coastal decor, you could even do sand down there. But I really wanted this project to be nice and simple, a nice pop of blue ocean colors with the jack-o'-lantern, but very cute and coastal Halloween as well. Isn't that such a happy little jack-o'-lantern? It really makes me smile.
Next up, I wanted to see if I could do some Dollar Tree broomsticks for a witch. I found this plastic one at the Dollar Tree, and I also picked up 5 of their willows. Doesn't really matter what color they are. Those are the fall colors. I'm actually going to end up painting them. Now this has all that deco mesh stuff on the end of it. Not a fan of the deco mesh. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to remove that. It was kind of glued on pretty well. So I'm also going to be attaching my willow there. So it doesn't have to be perfect. But I do try to get as much of the deco mesh off as I can. Sometimes using heat for that to clean that up a little bit. I also want to replace the ribbon that's on there. It's kind of a black on black. You can't really see it. It's just kind of wound around. But I do like that effect. I really just wanted the broomstick itself. I think it's the perfect height to do a Dollar Tree broomstick. Now, on one of my previous Halloween videos, like last week, I did a broomstick, a life-size broomstick from the Dollar Tree, using one of the little hula skirts from the Dollar Tree. And I love it. I think it's so cool. And so I wanted to see if I could find other items from the Dollar Tree that I can make some broomsticks with. So I have a couple different ideas for you today. Now for this one, I'm going to use some raffia. I actually got a roll of this on Amazon. You could always use ribbon for this, but I kind of like the color and the texture of it. And so I'm just going to go ahead and use that. As you can see, you do have to unwind it to get like a decent width ribbon out of this, which is generally most of the work is just unwinding this. But I'm going to go ahead and do that until I think I have enough to cover my broomstick. And I want to just kind of go around it and around it like they had with the ribbon that you couldn't really see on there, the black on black. So I just glue it there to the top, and then I just simply twist my little broomstick around until I get all the way to the bottom. Now, you could also use the full-size broomstick if you want to do a giant one from the Dollar Tree. They also have an adjustable broomstick that I used for my skull topiary recently that would probably be about this size. This one's probably a little bit skinnier than that. So there are other things you can use. And you can also use plunger handles. I put 2 together for my previous broomstick to make it full size. That looks pretty good. Now we can worry about the bottom of the broom. I thought willow would be perfect because that's actually something that you would see like a old broom made out of. Now I wanted black, and they do have like the black glitter ones, but I couldn't find enough of them, and I didn't really want the glitter, and so I'm actually just going to paint these. Now these are the willows from the Dollar Tree that are so popular right now, but they shed like crazy. As you can see, all those little pieces falling off. But one thing I noticed is when I painted them, it seemed to stop that problem, so maybe that's a good fix for it. I chose a total of 5 because I wanted my broomstick to be nice and full. I'm just using the stem on there and hot gluing it to the broomstick. It does have to kind of set up there. I am going to wrap it so you won't be able to see where this all comes together. But I thought I would do like maybe 3 at a time, just so I can kind of hold them together and kind of let those set up a little bit before I flip it over and do the other 2. Just trying to kind of evenly space out the willows. Now they have these in this like brownish color. They also have them in yellow and orange. They have them in all different fall colors right now. So if you wanted a more colorful broomstick, you totally could do that. Now I'm just going to wrap it all with Dollar Tree twine. While the hot glue was still kind of wet there, I go ahead and tie on the twine, and then I just have to start wrapping it. As you can see, you have a lot to cover because you have to cover up all of those willow stems and everything that comes together. And this twine is actually pretty thin from the Dollar Tree, so I just wind it and wind it until we get it all covered. I want to cover up all of it where it comes together so it just blends together more seamlessly. And if you like this color of brown, you can kind of just leave it like that too. I paint it black, and I actually love how it turned out. I thought painting it at the end was going to be the easiest just because it was so sheddy like this. And then I thought the addition of spray paint would make it a little bit sticky, so I didn't want to deal with that. Now, I ran out of twine. A lot of you guys have asked me about my twine holders. This is it from the Dollar Tree. It's actually just one of their yarn holders. So next time you're in Crafter Square, try to look around. I found them usually at my larger Dollar Trees, but I don't know. They probably all have them. They probably come and go a little bit because they are great. As you can see, even when you're doing like a ton of twine like I'm doing, it keeps your twine together. You can find it easily when you're crafting. Keeps it clean, like if I'm going to saw or anything like that. I really love it. I just hot glue the end once I got it wound good enough to cover all of that. And this is what we have right now. But again, I told you I wanted to paint it, but I don't want to get any paint on my broomstick or any of that twine that we worked so hard to wrap it with. So I'm just going to take some painter's tape and just go ahead and tape that part off. And I'm actually going to spray paint it. I thought that was probably the easiest and best way to do this, so I can kind of get all in there. I'm using the Ultra Matte Black. I really like matte finish. It's my favorite. If I can find that, I usually pick that up, especially with spray paint. And I just kind of spray all over. If I get a little bit of that brown showing through in the end, it's not going to bother me. It's going to kind of give it more texture, kind of like the witch's hat. With a two-tone. So I went ahead and sprayed half of it, dried it, and then turned it over, and we're going to go ahead and paint the rest of it. Painted really well. Again, it keeps it from shedding. I've also had some of you guys say, I think hairspray might work for helping that shedding issue, because you don't want it shedding like that in your house for sure. And let me show you how our first little witch's broomstick turned out. I love the black with the raffia. Very neutral Halloween. And I love how the willow looks here at the bottom. It makes a perfect witch's broom. So fun. Now, once I made that, I'm like, I need somewhere to display it. So I decided I would make a fun broom parking like sign and holder for my broom. So I'm using a combination of the Dollar Tree wooden letters and their metal letters. And we're going to spell out broom parking. And then I also found these great hooks from the Dollar Tree. I think that's a really good deal for $1.25. I think we can put them all together on one of these Dollar Tree crafter square signs that's already black, so that makes my job easier. I don't really want the wood bead on the hanger. Might be a little bit too decorative up there, so I go ahead and remove that. And then I also want to add some warmness to it. It's a very light wood frame, so I just use a little bit of Antique Wax by Waverly and do a simple stain here on the frame. Once I get it on there, I kind of use a baby wipe to kind of clean up any excess and kind of blend it in a little bit until I'm happy with it. And it's super easy to stain because you don't have to worry about getting stain on the back. On that black, it's not really going to show up too much. I also use the Antique Wax by Waverly to stain the Dollar Tree wooden letters. And you could also use vinyl for this. I had the letters and I had exactly what I needed, the right letters. So that's why it's important. And I'm doing the same kind of staining on these, just a little bit of Antique Wax by Waverly and kind of wipe that around with a baby wipe until I get kind of a medium stain on these. This fits perfectly on this size sign, and it's going to be a great holder for the broomsticks we made today. I'm going to start here in the middle so I can make sure it's centered right since it's 5 letters, and just add a little bit of hot glue to the back of these to spell out the word broom. I like the stained wood against the black. Very pretty and kind of perfect spooky for Halloween. Now for the parking, these letters come in half of an alphabet, like first half of the alphabet and last half of the alphabet. So make sure you're paying attention to that when you're picking those up at Crafter Square so you get all the letters you need. I thought about leaving them just galvanized metal, but then I decided I wanted them to kind of have the wood look too. So let me show you how I go about doing that. The first thing is I attach them to some painter's tape. It makes them easier to paint and keep together. And I'm just using one of those stencil daubers from Dollar Tree and some ivory paint for the first coat of those. Painting the galvanized metal can be a little bit tricky. I do find that the sponging like this works pretty well. You're not going to get the brush strokes in there that you might get trying to paint the metal. And I'm not really using any Mod Podge or anything under that. I just did 2 coats of ivory on that. So those look pretty well covered. I am going to stain them, but not quite yet. I want that paint to kind of set up a little bit more on those. But that's going to be the middle section of the sign, and it's going to fit on here nicely for a fun broom parking. Now, on one of my previous Halloween DIY videos, I did a miniature broom parking where I did little miniature broomsticks hanging, and I love that idea for broom parking. So I wanted to do more of a life-size version here for my house, and everything is going to be so cute for Halloween. So again, I started in the middle. These don't take very much hot glue at all. This Ryobi it kind of spits out a lot of hot glue. You might want to use a more a fine tip one, but I just added a little bit of glue to each one, so I didn't have any really seeping out of the sides, but enough to keep it on there because the metal doesn't always like hot glue too much. Now to stain them, I just take some Antique Wax by Waverly and one of those chunky brushes from Dollar Tree, and I'm just dragging it across to give it a faux wood grain to kind of make it go more with the stained letters we have above. It looks a little bit different, but it's got that same kind of wood vibe. And then these are the Dollar Tree hooks. They are kind of a gray color. They're not really as metallic as I would like. They do come with the hardware and the screws and stuff like that, but the Dollar Tree sign's not quite thick enough to use those, so I'm actually just going to attach mine with hot glue. But I didn't really like the gray color, so I thought we'd kind of take them up a notch with some spray paint. So I'm using some of the gold metallic. It's not like a super bright gold to paint those, but if they were more metallic, like gold, brass, silver, I wouldn't have minded them too much, but I didn't really think the gray went with it too much. So I'm just going to make sure that I get good coverage here on my gold metallic, and I love these. I love that I could find these from the Dollar Tree. I think even at Walmart, I probably would have paid definitely more than $1.25 for them. So those look pretty good. I'm going to be doing a total of 2 broomsticks today, so I wanted to do 2 hooks, so I have room to park 2 of my brooms. And then I want to replace the hanger because this is going to hang up. So I just take some Dollar Tree twine. This is kind of the thinner twine to get through those holes. So I do have to knot it a couple times to make sure that it is going to hang. I always like knotting it here on the front and then just kind of cutting off the excess twine. A lot less decorative than the wood beads, but I kind of like that. And then I want to attach these, kind of centering these on that final row of the wood sign. And again, they're not thick enough for the screws, so I'm just going to attach them with hot glue. That should be plenty strong enough. Now, I like it, but I thought I could give it a little more texture. So I wanted to do like a black beaded border. I thought that would be cute. Now, I can always find these little beaded stickers from the Dollar Tree that come on the string of glue, but I can usually not find them in the color that I want from the Dollar Tree. But as you can see, they're really easy to paint. The trick on these is you want to use acrylic. You don't want to use spray paint. It will kind of dissolve all of that adhesive that you have in between them. So I just go over mine with some black acrylic paint until I have good coverage there. Once those are dry, I can still peel and stick them just like you can before. It's kind of get that gooey glue on the back of it. And I am just going to decorate the entire Dollar Tree frame. You're still going to see that like stained wood come through, but you're going to have a little bit of black texture, which when I think witch decor, I think a little bit more decor. They're going to have things a little bit more ornate than just a plain frame like this. So I thought that would add to it nicely. When you get to an end like that, you can always just pull it, stretch it off, and make it any length you want it to be, just like that. We're going to go all the way around. And even though I painted them, they're still super sticky, so I don't think they'll have any problem staying on here. And I already have the hanger on there, so I kind of have to work around that, but that's okay, because I would have to kind of work around that anyway. I just kind of stretch it, see what fits, and just kind of shorten it if I need to, just by pulling on the adhesive. And there it is, our little broom parking sign for the broomsticks we're going to use today. This one should be dry that we just painted the black. I kind of set it aside to let that spray paint dry on that willow. Just removing the painter's tape. And we have a really cool little broomstick for Halloween. I love how this turned out. That willow looks so good in the black. And I like the fact that it doesn't have the glitter on there too. So I can just hook that on to that broom parking sign that you see. Here, I'm going to go ahead and show that to you because it's kind of its own little separate DIY here. But as you can tell, you can't really tell those metal letters are metal. They look really nice painted and distressed like that. And I love like kind of the dark, creepy vibes of the colors on this one. Now, since I did 2 hooks, I wanted to find a different way to do a Dollar Tree broomstick. So I'm actually going to try some of their Pampas grass and a Dollar Tree plunger. It's not going to be a super tall one. I'm only going to use one of the plungers today. On my life-size one that I used, the grass skirt, I used 2. And so the toughest part of this is just removing that tag, but mine actually came off pretty well. You just want to make sure you get all the adhesive off. So I use like a little Goo Gone on there, and it stains beautifully with Antique Wax by Waverly. So I just go over the entire plunger handle. It's going to be our broomstick, and cover that up. I'm not going to cut it at all. The part that has like the little screw end on it that's screwed onto the plunger is actually going to be covered up by the Pampas grass that we're adding. And I thought that would be a fun touch. I've done a witch's broomstick with the grass skirt. I've tried it now with the willow. So I thought Pampas grass would be a fun option too. I picked up 2 of the black ones. If you could find 3, it might be even better, but I didn't want mine to be too full because it's kind of a smaller broom that I'm hanging next to the large one that we just DIY'd. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to remove the tags from these. They do have like a brown paper like wrapping these, and I do want to leave them attached together if I can. So I'm just trying to remove the adhesive from the tag that was on there without trying to destroy the paper. But I do want to shorten them a little bit because I don't want that much twine to be used because it's kind of a smaller broomstick. So I'm going to attach them kind of like this and this. I kind of attach mine just on the top. Now, I do have some wire cutters. I actually got these at Lowe's. They work pretty well normally, but I don't know if this is made out of really strong wire or just the fact that there were so many of them. So I had to kind of cut it like little bit by bit and maybe wire by wire because they were a little bit stronger than I thought. It was a little bit more of a fight. So if you don't want to fight with them, I guess you could wrap your twine a little bit taller up there. But I was able to shorten it exactly where I wanted it to be. I'm not used to Dollar Tree florals being quite this durable though. They are definitely wired. So I guess you could take them all the way apart too and have individual Pampas grass that you could attach to. But I was trying to make it easier by leaving them together like that. So as you can see, the paper does come off of it a little bit, but I just kind of leave it on there. I'm going to attach it like kind of one on each side here of the little plunger handle. And again, trying to make sure that like the paper is stuck on there. I'm just going to use a little hot glue. Also, you know, using the twine to wrap that off is going to help attach it too. And then while that is starting to set up, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue the other one here on the other side. And as you see, the 2 of them together make a really fun looking black broomstick. Kind of a smaller model, but I kind of like it. Now, while that's setting up, I'm going to go ahead and start with my twine. Again, I'm going to tie it off here and then just wrap it till you can't see any of where this comes together to make it look like a broomstick. So again, I'm just going to spin it around, super easy, just wrapping it with that. If you didn't want to use twine, I guess you could use like burlap for this part, but I think that the twine actually does kind of add something. It makes it look more like a broom. And as you can see, you could definitely do a 3rd one of those on there. And they have these Pampas grasses for fall and Halloween colors like this. They also have them in fall colors. If you wanted to do more of an orange or a goldish yellow witch's broomstick, that would be cute too, depending on your color scheme. I was trying to go more neutral Halloween with these. It goes really well with my coastal decor in my house. So I'm going to hot glue down the end of my twine and trim it off. It looks pretty full. Just like that. And then I want to hang it. It doesn't really have a way to hang it, so I'm going to actually make one just by drilling a simple hole in the top. If you don't want to break out the power tools, you could always probably try to figure out something. You could probably always attach some twine with some hot glue or something like that if you wanted to, but I always have my power tools available there at my crafting center, so I just drilled a simple hole and used some Dollar Tree twine to tie an easy little hanger for this that we can then hang on our broom parking that we just DIY'd. Isn't it so cute? It's just really easy and simple. If you wanted to decorate it more, you could, but I wanted them to kind of look like functional broomsticks that you could grab and ride, you know, for Halloween. And so this is how the Pampas grass broomstick turned out. I think it's really fun. I love that black Pampas grass. It's so spooky. And I hang that on my broom parking as well. So let me kind of show you what that looks like all together. This is it hanging next to the other broomstick that we DIY'd. As you can see, it's shorter, but I kind of like the variety of different sizes and styles of brooms, but I love how it turned out. I think it is really fun. What do you guys think about this? It looks great with my witch's cauldron that I DIY'd recently, right?
I'm going to remake one of these little tinsel bats from the Dollar Tree. Now, I love remaking the tinsel items from Dollar Tree because they always have a great cage under them. Now, I was kind of shocked to find that this had like multiple pieces, like the plastic piece like bumped out there. So that had tinsel on it, which was super easy to pull out. You just had to have to pop that off. And so I do that on both sides. Now, the part that got tricky was the wings. So I'm going to pop those back in later to make it stronger. Otherwise, the wings are kind of not very sturdy like this. And I went ahead and removed all the tinsel off the body. That one part was easy. The part that was hard was this part. The tinsel that was glued onto the front of it. Because I'm not going to go in there and like pull off all those little tinsel strings all over. Normally, I would like to have a cleaner surface to start with, but not so much. But we're going to make it work. So this is what I've got. I'm just going to go ahead and pop the little black plastic pieces back onto the wing. Again, just reinforcing it. And what we're going to cover the bat with is that little black sun hat. This is just like the regular sun hats they have at the Dollar Tree, but I found one the other day at Dollar Tree in black, and I thought, ooh, that reminds me of Halloween. I bet I could do something cool with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the ribbon off the top. It did leave some glue on it, but easy enough to pull off. And if you can't just pull it off, you can always remove that if you have a heat gun or a blow dryer or something like that. And I thought we could just leave it intact and do a wing from each side of the hat for each one of the bat wings. So just kind of lining it up to see how big I need it. It's going to be the brim plus part of the main part of the hat. About up to here is what I need. So I went ahead and just cut the very top part off of the little black sun hat, just cutting around in a circle, and we'll save that for the bat body. So it's pretty much like the same shape for the top of the wing. So I'm just going to cut that down a little bit, save the other half for the other side, and then it's just a matter of gluing this down. I want to overlap the sides of the bat slightly just because it's a little messy with that extra tinsel that's still on there, but we're going to make it work. So I did the top part first. I did hot glue and kind of lined that up so that it would overlap the edge so you won't be able to see any of that back there. And this is going to give us a really cool woven pattern. I know that you can separate the different layers of the sun hat, but it's kind of easier if you leave it all together, but you kind of have to be careful to make sure that it stays together. So I just went ahead and glued around all of the arches there on the bottom of the wing and kind of glued it to the body. So I'm going to do the same exact thing here on the other side of our bat. I don't need all of this. I just need most of it. I'm going to glue the top part, kind of lining that up. And then I'm going to do the little body of the bat separately, but it kind of all blends in together. It turned out really cute. I've used like the little Dollar Tree purses and the sun hats for DIYs, and I always love this woven. It looks so high end when you're done. Now, I kind of have to do some cutting now to get the shape of the bat wing. So I'm going to cut, but I'm going to leave like an overlap. And you have to be a little careful when you cut this because you can get fraying where you don't really want that. So I'm going to try to work with it as little as possible. I'm just going to try to trim it, get it close to where I want it, and not mess with it too much. I'm assuming if you maybe hot glued the ends, you could work with it a little bit more without it falling apart, but I didn't really want to take any chances. So I just trimmed both of my wings down to kind of make them look like bat wings. The only trimming I did here was if there was strings hanging out, I did trim up the strings, but otherwise gonna kind of leave it as is. And then we just need to cover the body part of the bat in the center. And we have that extra piece that was the top of the hat that's going to be perfect for that. So I just trimmed down the bat wings a little bit. And now it's just a matter of getting this to work. I kind of really only need an oval shape, kind of the shape of the bat body. So I went ahead and cut the sides off the top, just kind of seeing how big I need it. I don't want it to be super wide. I want it to be covering the bat body and overlapping the wings slightly. I just left the hanger on there just because I can go ahead and use that hanger. No need to replace it. And I start here at the bottom by hot gluing that on, kind of overlapping the bottom of the bat as well. And this shape is actually going to work out really perfect for this because it does kind of lay flat if you need it to. So just moving my way up, I'm just going to hot glue that down. Also hot gluing it to the material on the wings. And then I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue the top of the head and the bat wings. I can always trim off the extra material once I get my hot glue dry. So I let it dry and then just going to try to trim this up. A little tricky, trying to get around the little bat wings here. But actually, I think this turned out really good. Now, it wasn't as easy as normal taking apart the tinsel cage. I hope that they don't get crazy with these things in the future because they're usually a little bit easier to dismantle, but it wasn't too bad because you can't see any of that tinsel that's left over through this material. So I think we made it work. And this is my little like black wicker bat. So cute. It looks so high end compared to the tinsel bat that it was before. And this is how it looks hanging in my home. As you can see, there's a little bit of fraying on the wings, but I'm okay with that. I think it has a really fun kind of vintage Halloween vibe to it. And the color is perfect for a bat, don't you think? Now, I found this burlap at Dollar Tree and I was like, hey, it's perfect. Black, white, and burlap, right? It is striped though, which is not like very Halloween, but we're going to make it work. I thought I could cover a Dollar Tree vase and we could do a really fun black eyeball flower arrangement with those fun flowers from Dollar Tree. So whenever you use this rolled burlap from Dollar Tree, it's all wrinkled and it makes it hard to work with. So one of the first things I usually do is go in and iron it. I have a Cricut Easy Press on my workstation, so I'm going to take advantage of that. But it definitely makes working with it a lot easier. While that heats up, I'm just going to go ahead and try to trim it down a little bit so I can get, about the right size that we're going to need. But I like to iron mine upside down so you don't get any of whatever design is on there. A lot of those burlaps have designs on them from the Dollar Tree now. I don't want any of that coming on my iron. So just like before, I'm going to, measure how big I need and then pull out the string so I'll know where to cut that down to size. That measurement there is probably the most important, going up and down, and then we're just going to simply attach the burlap to the vase with a bead of hot glue. And I decided vertical, it's a nice skinny vase, so I think the vertical stripe going up is going to look nice. And then I'm just going to wrap that around, hot gluing it to itself to cover this. Just a fun way to add a lot of texture and the black, white, and burlap to the vase itself before we add all the flowers. Now, it's really kind of hard to arrange in here, like different heights and stuff like that. So I end up using a little bit of Dollar Tree sand to arrange my flowers. And these are the flowers we're going to use. I picked up a couple bundles of these black roses that have eyeballs in some of them. They also have like spiders and like little creepy plants coming out of them. So I filled mine up about halfway with some Dollar Tree sand, just to make it easier to arrange this. And I want to use a couple of these bunches, so I want different heights. So on the first one, I'm just going to go ahead and cut those down to size, and those are going to be kind of my lower row of my flower arrangement. And half of them have, I think, eyeballs. You'll notice that I end up switching out another flower arrangement to give this one extra eyeballs at the end. But I really like the little spider picks and the little creepy like tree. I think that looks fun too. Once I got that all arranged, the bottom, I want it to be nice and tall. So I'm going to use one without taking it apart. So easy peasy. All you got to do is remove the tag and put that inside. It's kind of tall, so it's kind of right up next to the camera. Those eyeballs are a little creepy. And just arrange it until you are happy with it. Super cute so far. I was trying to think of a fun way to display it, and I'll show you what I ended up doing. But for now, this is how this flower arrangement turned out. You can see I did add extra eyeballs. Just because I needed the just plain black roses for the next DIY. I thought it would be cute to arrange it like on a tray with maybe another plant. And so I am actually going to use a tray that I got at Target Dollar Spot. And this is the one I got there last year. It's for $5. I ended up not using it last year. It has the spider webs. But this year, Dollar Tree Plus has something really similar. And I think the Dollar Spot has something similar again this year too. So I'm going to sit our little eyeball flower arrangement on there. And then I found this at the Dollar Tree Plus for $3, a creepy plant that's got teeth. So I thought that would go perfect with the eyeball plants. And my son loves these like weird carnivorous plants and stuff like that. He has some really cool ones. So I think this will go good with it. Now, it has a black and white pumpkin already. It's got polka dots and stripes, so that part's perfect. The only part I didn't like was the red flower. Even though it's a cool flower, it doesn't really go with my black and white and burlap theme. So I am actually just going to DIY this. So I just removed the red flower. I can use that for something else. And kind of the colorful leaves that were with it. But I do want the little teeth to use in my final design. Just removing all of the staples and everything that were in there. The bottom part of the pumpkin is perfect, so I thought we could use another one of these little black eyeball rose arrangements to kind of place together to make a giant black flower, so it's going to kind of coordinate with our color scheme. So I just take one of the black flowers and just put it on the existing thing. And that's the only one I really have to attach to. So the rest I'm going to kind of have to attach with hot glue, but it ended up being pretty easy. So I'm just going to kind of build these roses on top of each other until I can get a big flower like that was on there before. And I can also use like the little black leaves to kind of add to that too, to kind of give it more volume. But I don't want to use the ones with eyeballs. So that's how I ended up switching out some of the black eyeball flowers on that one. With some, I wanted more of the plain ones to build this out. And I just kind of attached them to each other with their leaves. And it ended up actually being pretty easy. So here's another black eyeball I'm going to add to that one. Take another black rose and add it to this one. I know the bottom leaves have a little bit of color too, but I think that's okay. It's not real crazy. And this was a really fun find at Dollar Tree Plus. So to reattach the little the little teeth, I just use hot glue and kind of put it in the middle of the giant black flower that we created. Then I also have some of these little black tree pieces, so I thought that would be a fun touch to add too. I just add a little hot glue to those and add those to the flowers on the bottom just to make them look a little creepier. And I think this is going to be the perfect thing to display on that little black Halloween tray from Target Dollar Spot with the little black eye roses. So it pretty much has the same effect as it had before, but no red. I did have a few black leaves left over, so I thought I might as well take advantage of those. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of glue those on the back too, just to kind of round that out a little bit. I think that looks pretty cool. I think it's ready to go on the tray with our first one. And then I thought we could fill it up with some moss and some creepy items just to kind of finish that creepy Halloween vibe. Now, I got these little furry spiders at Walmart for $1.98, but you could always use ones from the Dollar Tree. I was just trying to avoid glitter ones for this one. And I thought 2 of these would look really fun, kind of like just in the 2 areas that are kind of open here. But then I thought it would look even creepier if I used like some reindeer moss from Dollar Tree to kind of fill that out, kind of make it look like a mossy ground with the spiders crawling through it. So I have some left over from another DIY. I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle some in there, filling up the bottom of the tray, and then just laying the little black fuzzy Walmart spider right on top. And I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side. And this little tray was so easy to put together, and it's so fun. I'm going to have to send a picture of this to my son. He is going to love it. It's right up his alley, little carnivorous, creepy Halloween plants. And how cute is that little pumpkin from the Dollar Tree Plus? Super fun, and I finally got a reason to use that little tray I got at the Target dollar spot. Okay, the next DIY, I picked up a Halloween sign at Dollar Tree, and then I wanted a wood round to go behind it that would not really interfere with the frame, and this was the smallest wood round at Dollar Tree I could find. I'm going to go ahead and remove the bow. I'm going to save that for later because that's perfect for retro Halloween, that black and white stripe. And then this already has a hanger on the back. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm just going to remove the glue on the front of that and then paint it so we have a background sign. I want to do like black, orange, and white are colors on this, and I want to kind of make it look old and ornate, but also a little bit of a vintage vibe. So I just wanted my background to be white. That way everything on the sign will kind of pop, being a dark color against the white. Now, it did take like maybe 3 or so coats to cover up that black writing on that board, but I just kind of painted it with white acrylic, dried it, did it till I got good coverage. Now for this part of the sign, I am going to just go ahead, cut the hanger off, and then use my hot glue gun. We are going to create tons of texture and detail to kind of make the frame look 3D. We're only going to do this on the frame part, not the center part where it says Happy Halloween. It has the bats and the spiders. I only want to go around and do the edges. And I'm just using the design that's already there as reference, just doing lines, swirls, anything I can to kind of fill that up. And it's going to give it so much texture in the end. And I wasn't too concerned with making it pretty because it's Halloween, so I kind of wanted to make it look kind of crazy. So I'm also going to kind of decorate like this round part here around the frame, just adding texture anywhere I can. And then this part's really important. You're going to want to follow that up with your heat gun or a hairdryer to get rid of all the little strings of glue, because you will be able to see that when you go to paint it. So I want the majority of the sign to be black. So I'm going to go in with some black acrylic and a foam brush, and I'm just going to go all over everything. All the texture we added to it, the background sign, everything. And my white silicone mat, I think it's getting really old. I probably need to replace it. But I'm like, I didn't want to put black paint on it because it's getting harder and harder to clean for dark colors like this. So I just use one of those little cutting boards from the Dollar Tree to save me lots of cleanup time. And I'm just going to keep doing that all the way around. I did have to kind of press down on it with like my foam brush to get in between all the different layers of texture that we added to the frame. But I'm going to leave like the Happy Halloween part black to pop against that white sign that we painted. But then we're going to add this pumpkin orange acrylic to the, just to all the areas that we added and distressing the frame with that. Now painting this light or medium orange color over the black is a little tricky. I just used a makeup sponge and sponged it all over. And I did have to go on here with, I think, 3 coats to really get that orange to pop against the black. And I'm also distressing that outer frame too. I'm not worried at all about getting it on there. I think that's going to make it look old, vintage, creepy. But the black, orange, and white combined with the cool like texture just gives it a really retro vibe in the end. So that's how it turned out so far. And now it's just a matter of putting this Halloween sign back together. So the back kind of looks crazy. I'm going to go ahead and just put hot glue around the circle shape here. And that's a perfect overlap for this size wood round. I'm always trying to find like a little bit smaller wood round from the Dollar Tree, and this is a nice thick sign. It worked well. So I just kind of line it up so my hanger will be up top, glue that onto the back, and then remember the bow that we took off of it before? I think this is going to be perfect to decorate the top of it. Looks very vintage, and I'm not going to do anything to it. I'm just going to hot glue it right here to the top. And another quick, easy vintage Halloween DIY for you. I love these like little intricate cutout signs from the Dollar Tree. For $1.25, I think they are a great bargain. I know a lot of crafters are getting those cutting machines to cut out wood items. I've really kind of avoided that because most people aren't going to have one. They're very expensive, and Dollar Tree has such great wood cutouts that I really don't think that I could justify it. So this is how it turned out. I think it's really cute.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed these 20 Dollar Tree Halloween DIYs. Lots of fun, unique projects for you. Let me know which DIY was your favorite down in the comments below. You can find me at Crafty Beach on YouTube on all social media. And this is my QR code if you would like to buy me a coffee. Enjoy the final reveal. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's crafting marathon. I also want to give a huge thank you to all of my YouTube members for supporting my channel. Thank you so much to Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, I Am Mojo Jojo, Maren Christensen, Adrian Brolt, Debbie Middleton, Donna Tanner, Kim Rogers, Red Mama, Pal Puppy Life, Renee Albanese, Mindy Hupp, Jenny, and Debbie Austin. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you would like to also become a Crafty Beach Bum member, all you have to do is hit the join button. Next to today's video on your phone or your computer, you're going to get early ad-free access to my videos here on YouTube, a badge next to your name when you comment down below, and a shout out in every video. We would also love to see what you've been crafting. Be sure to share your DIYs with us in our private Facebook group linked in the description of today's video. Would you like even more crafting inspiration for Halloween? Be sure to check out one of these DIY videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting for Halloween.